In this next demo, we will take a look at IPSEC, which is policy-based. Okay, so I'm on my server here, and I have Group Policy Management Console opened. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at IPSEC inside of the default domain policy. Okay, so I'm going to right-click and select Edit on the default domain policy. Okay, and we're going to go under the Computer Configuration, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings. Now once we do that, slide this over just a little bit here. Oops, it's fickle. Okay, we're going to see several options, okay, but we want to come down to where we see IP Security Policies on Active Directory, and it will show the name of your domain. Now, there's so much to IPSEC, okay, that Microsoft has 3 default policies, and in its simplest form, they are pre-configured, and we could just simply right-click and assign them, okay? Now, they're pre-configured, you know, for clients and servers to communicate securely in the domain, okay? And there's quite a bit to how they're pre-configured, okay? But if you don't know how to do it, you want to research a little bit, it could be as easy as organizing computer accounts, putting them in OUs, organizational units, linking GPOs, and just simply assigning. Okay, now still some effort and planning in there, but it can be easier. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll take a look at one of the policies. Okay, I just want to double click it, and you'll see in here, like this one is requesting security. So the idea behind that, anytime a client connects to the server, it will ask them if they understand IPSEC. And if the client is configured for IPSEC, he will respond and they will have secured communications. Okay, but if the client is not, then they will have clear text communication. So the idea is secure when we can, but exempt when we cannot. Okay, but you do have require security means no exemption. Okay, all right, but the idea right now is saying I want IPSEC on anything that is IP related using Kerberos authentication. Okay, but we can come in here and double click this, and then you see all these different tabs, and then IP filter list, and then I could double click the IP traffic here, okay, and then you'll see, okay, my address, you know, like destination and source addresses here, and you can edit this as well. And at this point you can say I want to put IPSEC on any IP address, a specific DNS server, a specific DHCP server, okay, source and destination. Or you could even come to protocol here and clarify certain protocols, like if I want to encrypt remote desktop, I can. Okay, so you get a lot of choices here, and as an example, if it's by port number, then I can come to TCP or UDP here and then literally clarify the ports, and if I want to encrypt telnet, I can. Okay, so I wanted to show you how deep the wizard can go. Okay, I'm going to cancel all that out though. Okay, now what I am going to do is a little demo here just between the client and the server real quick. Okay, now I'm going to come to require security. Okay, and I'm going to clear the rule that they have. I just want to create my own in here. Okay, and I'm going to select add at the bottom left. Now it brings up a wizard. Okay, and it wants to know whether there's going to be a tunnel, starting point and an end point. Now I can also build a tunnel right here in the building between a couple of computers if I want to. Okay, and they would be the only two that would be able to talk to one another. Okay, so I can say it does not specify a tunnel. Okay, and at this point they call that transport mode, which means I can talk to anybody that is IPSEC aware. Okay, so I'm going to put this rule does not require a tunnel or specify a tunnel. Now it's asking where do you want the IPSEC to apply? All connections, your local area network connection, or just your RAS connections? Okay, I'm going to say all networks. Okay, what do you want to block, or what do you want to secure? I'm going to say all IP traffic, just like the default did, but this is where I could come in and clarify a protocol or a port number. Okay, and I'm going to go next. I'm going to select require security. Okay, and at this point, I have to select my authentication method. Now, in real world, we most likely would use Kerberos because we're both in the domain. Okay. Okay, we could use certificates, you know, just more stringent authentication and security at that point. Okay, or we could use a pre-shared key. In this demo, I will use a pre-shared key. Okay, and I'm going to type in the secret of MD101. Okay, and I'm going to go next, finish, and then OK. Now I've configured my IPSEC policy on the server, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it. Okay, so now I'm going to minimize this and come to my client. Okay, so we'll bring up client 4 here. Okay, and I went ahead and opened up an MMC and went ahead and got IPSEC ready here as well. Okay, now at this point I'm going to come to the same policy setting, secure server, require security. Okay, I've already removed the rules here. I'm going to get rid of the default one as well. Okay, and all I'm going to do now is mirror exactly what I did a moment ago on the other client. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring up the rule here. Okay, we are not going to specify a tunnel. All network connections. Okay, all IP traffic once again. Require security. Okay, and then the pre-shared key. Okay, so just literally mirroring exactly what we did on the server. Okay, so at this point we now have IPSEC configured on these two devices. I'm going to right click and assign here as well. Okay, and at this point it will take a few seconds for it to kick in, but we should have secured communications. Okay, so I'm going to bring up a command prompt here, and we will ping server 1 with a -T, which will be a continuous ping. Okay, now it's showing the V6 address right now. Okay, but how can we tell if it is actually working? Okay, now at this point there is a snap-in that we could add. Now I didn't really mention this in the book, okay, but it's called IP Security Monitor. Okay, and we could come in here and we could look at the active policy. Okay, now at this point it is showing us secure server require security for all IP traffic. Okay, and then it shows time and date. Now I can come down and break this even further. Okay, you have all these options, okay, but I'm going to come to quick mode and go straight to statistics, and this tells me everything I need to know. Okay, now if we take a look, you'll see confidential bytes sent and received. That would be encryption. Authentication bytes sent and received. That would be our pre-shared key. And then transport bytes sent and received. That's because we're in transport mode instead of using a tunnel. Okay, so at this point it tells me that it is working, otherwise you would see nothing in here. Okay, but I can also come to security associations here, identify the two computers, and then literally see IPSEC in action here. Okay, so at this point I can tell that it's using the triple DES and SHA-1 for the ESP, encapsulated security payload. ESP can also provide integrity, by the way. I did forget to mention that. ESP can do both encryption and integrity. So typically if you want both, you would use ESP. If you want just integrity, you would use AH. And if you want just encryption, clearly ESP. Okay, but this does show the algorithms that they're using. Okay, showing the addresses as well. Okay, and now just like everything else, is there more to it? Absolutely. So when I tell you this is a tip of an iceberg, that is no exaggeration. Okay, but that is just a little taste of IPSEC.